Well, I rescued a dog, and that was the first step. Rocky, he was an English setter. I was actually headed to a decorating shop. I was going to get some dining room chairs recovered. And I saw some trash on the ground, and it was kind of moving around, and I kept looking out the window thinking, what is that, you know, by the curb, and what is that heap? Why does it keep moving around? And I went out and discovered it was an injured dog. So I whisked him over to my veterinarian. I got in just in time, and we ended up doing an operation to fix his leg. And then I started looking at placement, and there was a very nice lady in Edmond that ran an animal orphanage, is what she called it. And so I became her chief volunteer. For quite a few years, we rescued a lot of dogs and cats. And then I got more involved in the political side of things because I wanted to be able to impact many animals at one time. You know, there are overt acts of animal cruelty, and we see those in Oklahoma and other states. You know, whether it's someone dragging a dog behind a car, or several years ago someone threw a German Shepherd off a bridge. But I think much more pervasive is neglect. And it is, you know, whether it's an overt act or neglect, they're both against the law, they're both a crime, and they're a felony crime in Oklahoma. You know, I worked on a case in Craig County. It was a huge livestock case several years back. Worked with the Craig County Sheriff's Office, and there were hundreds of dead sheep and dying sheep on this several hundred-acre property. And the individual, you know, they had a lovely ranch house, they had a covered, lighted riding arena, they had new cars, and yet their property was scattered with dead animals. And they just stopped feeding them. They stopped breaking the ice. You know, it was winter, so, you know, they had no access to water. They had no food. And I don't know if I can explain what compels an individual to neglect that many animals on a massive scale, but he did. There are a lot of dog shooting cases in Oklahoma, and the most recent case I have been working on was an individual whose dog trespassed onto the property of another individual and allegedly was chasing his cat, and the homeowner shot the dog and killed the dog and wounded several other dogs, and actually grazed the next door neighbor's arm with the bullet. I mean, he used a very high-powered weapon. So we do hear a lot about that. People are under the misconception that if an animal trespasses, that you have the right to shoot it, injure it, maim it, kill it, and of course all of those are violations of the state animal cruelty law. There is a link, and it's been well documented, between animal cruelty and human violence. And in fact, in children, animal cruelty is one of the earliest indicators of conduct disorder, and that can, if not addressed, can escalate to greater crimes as a teenager or an adult. Almost without exception, you find that in situations of domestic abuse or child abuse, that there's also animal cruelty going on in that home. That link is very important for law enforcement to understand, for social workers, for animal care and control officers. I would like to see the Commercial Pet Breeder Act strengthen the regulations that they have for dogs that are raised as breeding dogs. I would like to see the reinstatement of our ban on horse slaughter. I would like to see a ban on the private possession of dangerous wild animals as pets. In Oklahoma, you can have, if you're outside a city limit and out in the counties, you can have a tiger or 2 or 3. So that's not a good idea for many reasons. I would like to see Oklahoma's pound seizure statute repealed. And pound seizure is when a research or educational institution comes to an animal shelter and demands the unclaimed pets for use in education or experimentation. It's a bad practice. Most states have banned it outright. I would also love to see a ban on carbon monoxide chambers as a method of euthanasia. Well, if you care about people, then you care about what they care about. And if you want to take care of people, then you take care of what they care about, and people love animals. Pets, I think the large majority of Americans have a pet that lives in the home. I mean, they're considered a family member. And when disaster strikes, you know, or the people are forced to evacuate, they want to take their pet. I've never seen it as it's interesting that you say that, because I've never seen it as a competition. Kindness to animals begets kindness to other people. Our love is not so defined and shallow that we don't have enough goodwill in our hearts for creatures other than ourselves. And there's enough love to go around.